It's so scary at first to make yourself go out and be social and meet people, but as a person with a disability, you are automatically, for some weird reason, less approachable. People are scared to approach you. So you're going to have to just make yourself approach others. And oh, it's terrifying, but the more you do it, the more you realize that people really do want to get to know you. They're curious, they're worried about hurting your feelings, but most of the time people are kind, and most of the time you can make great friends and have really good experiences. And I think the more you just go out and talk to people, the more easy it gets.
Somebody just wants to talk to you as much as you want to talk to them, and maybe they're scared because of your disability. They don't know what to say and how not to hurt your feelings. And so if you start the conversation, then they'll kind of lighten up a little bit too. So
if you're visually impaired or you've got a disability, whatever it is, have a social event, like a party or something that they're coming there to meet people with disabilities, and make it a fun time and kind of laid back, and create this atmosphere that you can be comfortable in, and not going one-on-one and quiet. That might be a little awkward for someone doesn't have the disability. But
the advice I would give would be to make sure that the parent and the kid know that there's going to be somebody they know that's there. If there's nobody they know to start out with and they're shy, they're not going to want to break the ice. But if they have somebody there that they know or that they feel comfortable with, other than being around mom or dad or a nanny or whoever they might be around 24/7, the ice might melt. And that's been a saying in my life quite for many years, because there's always ice around a shy person. The soul is frozen to start with. You have to melt, you have to de-ice it.
Break out of your shell and go out and meet some people.
Also, if you can join some type of group, like a club or a church group or I don't know, something at the school or something in the community, where you can go to organized social gatherings where people are getting together to socialize. If you can go to that setting and just be friendly and outgoing, open yourself up to meet people, that's a really good way to meet people from different backgrounds and different situations.
My experience with the fraternity was probably one of the best decisions I made. I was a little hesitant my freshman year to go out for it, and there were probably 30 other people who were already a part of that rush class that were going through it. My roommate and the guy next door to me were heavily involved in it, and they said, you really ought to go through it. So I started going over to the chapter house just in the spring before even becoming interested, just to meet some people, get my feet wet. And I found I really liked them, that the group of people that were there accepted me for who I was, didn't try and push me to do anything I didn't want to do, were willing to help out with anything I couldn't do, and it was just a great opportunity to meet people who treated me normally.
Just think of a friendship as your family member. I mean, they're going to stick with you through the thick and thin of it all, but yet they're always going to be there for you to choose right. I mean,
what my grandmother trained me to do? Honesty. Like, if you had a problem, you need to sit down and talk to my if my grandmother had a problem, she would come and sit down with me and talk to me about it. So
I think my piece of advice for kids in high school would be, be as friendly as you can, be as talkative not as talkative. Be as outgoing as you feel comfortable, and maybe even a little bit beyond how comfortable you are. That would be the thing I would really like to change about my own high school days, would be just be more sociable. I had my core group of friends, and then I had the little group of acquaintances that I knew somewhat, but didn't really spend a whole lot of time with them. And it would have been good to have expanded my group of friends in that regard.
I always encourage people to be as outgoing as they can and not letting, something embarrassing be a factor, because you learn from those experiences. If you don't try it, you won't learn how to handle it the next time.
And it's also important to understand that there are plenty of people who aren't going to change, who aren't going to completely change their perspective just because you live differently. There are people that are very, very, very stubborn in their ways, and you're going to have to find a way to deal with that.
If you ask, are you comfortable about talking about your disability, that kind of thing, would you mind talking to me about it? And if they say, I would rather not, then leave it at that, and let them kind of deal with their own issues. And if they need to have a third party come in and talk to, let the third party come in and talk. But sometimes it's okay to approach somebody and say, are you okay talking about this? And they'll be more than happy to. I am, so.
Because I'm getting a lot of interaction with all these clients around here. I know when to just leave them alone. Everybody's got to have their space and stuff, and that's pretty much a learning device for me since I've had the traumatic brain injury and all that stuff. And
most of the time, the greatest experience I've had as far as people staring at me and having uncomfortable situations like that are like little kids that stare at me and then their parents say, shh, don't stare. I almost would prefer it if they let their child come and ask, rather than don't look at her. That makes them think that there's really something wrong with me. Yes, there is something visibly wrong with me, but I'm not, incapable or unable to have a conversation and explain why I'm different, or just talk to them. I don't have to explain anything. Just talk to them and say, hi, how are you, kind of thing.
I think one of the skills I'd like to know better is how to socialize with women, how to socialize with other people that may not be familiar with disabilities. That's something I've picked up in the last couple of years, and it's really had to develop. And part of that's just growing up, but it would have been nice to have a little bit of exposure to it.
If you find somebody that is on your same maturity level, just because they have a disability or don't have a disability, doesn't mean that they don't know what you're talking about. They have kind of the same issues like acne, dating, everything. It's just that yours is magnified because you think the reason is the disability when everybody else is dealing with it too.